Hi guys, it's Carri here, and I'm back with another video. This time a different type of video. I have Lauren here. She's an artist on YouTube and she goes by Ayeoops. Say hello.
Hello.
But yeah, we're doing an art trade today, but we're gonna be covering topics about being a full-time artist while being in school. So Lauren is an artist on YouTube, and can you introduce yourself a bit more?
Hello, I'm Ayeoops, and I'm kind of new to YouTube. I only started doing it a few months ago, but Carri reached out to me, and I'm happy to be here.
And her work is phenomenal. And I'm starting off this video with my own sketch where we have both of our OCs sitting together, and I really love her work, and we clicked and we have a lot in common. So some of the first questions that I want to ask is that what type of art degree are you pursuing in school right now?
So right now, I'm pursuing an art degree with a concentration in animation, and I actually originally wanted to do illustration, but then I found out that the illustration degree is more like commercial art, like doing advertisement, and that's not the type of illustration that I want. I wanted like narrative story illustration, and you get that from animation. So I'm doing animation right now, even though I've never animated ever in my life.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh man. So did you start your major classes already, or is it still prerequisites?
Because I transferred, I had to retake some of my intro art classes. Like I had to take like 2D drawing again, which kind of sucked. But
what? That's so weird.
It didn't count. It didn't count from my old college.
Oh, I see. So you transferred to a whole new college.
Yeah, and my first college only had a studio art degree, which is mainly for traditional artists, like painters and stuff. So I was like, okay, this is not for me, and so I started looking for other colleges to transfer to.
Oh, that's
luckily this one had an animation degree that was fairly affordable.
Oh, that's awesome. And you're based in California, right?
Yep.
Oh, that's affordable.
LA
California
area.
Animation is rare to hear. So that's
it's
awesome.
Definitely not a Cal Arts or anything, but it's a Cal State.
I'm glad there's more option, because I made a friend on my art Discord, and I was starting to look in there, because here in the East Coast, it's very hard to find. They're like dime a dozen. And I wanted to ask, is your end goal, do you want to be an animator yourself? What type of role do you see yourself in animation industry, or do you just want to learn that for your own skills and personal gains and stuff?
Honestly, I'm kind of just like getting the degree just to kind of have it on hand. Because like I said, I have never animated in my life, so I don't even know how I'm gonna like vibe with it. This semester when classes start, it's gonna be my first animation class I'm ever taking. I'll find out this semester, I guess. But like end goal wise, I would really love to be like a character artist for like a video game. And it's not necessarily animating. Like I don't want to animate characters. I'd rather design them. I want to be a character designer. But honestly though, nowadays I've kind of been having doubts or like thoughts where it's like I'm not sure if I want to do that anymore, because I don't know like how I would feel working for a company at this point in my life.
Oh, that's interesting. Because even in the video game industry, a lot of stuff is seasonal. It's like freelance, where they hire on-off artists. So the great thing about both the video game industry and the animation industry is that you can have the freedom of both. I've watched a lot of artists in the industry on YouTube where they have seasons where they're working on a game for just 6 months or 2 years, and then after that they don't have any industry jobs anymore, and they're just focused on their own projects until
that makes sense.
Until another show comes out. So if you like the whole freelancing lifestyle of being an artist, I think the industry is for you, because it's built that way, where you're designing characters for just this show for up to 6 months, up to a couple years, but just that one show, and then it ends, and then you can choose whether to apply to work at another studio or not, or if you just want to stay doing your own thing. So you do have a lot of flexibility.
I guess it's more of like a matter of me wanting to be in charge of what I do instead of having like a boss or higher up directing me on what to do, because teamwork is really important when you're animating in a game or designing or doing art for any game for a company, and you don't exactly get to pick and choose what you're working on and what you're drawing. And I'm not sure if I can do that anymore. Like, let's say I really end up liking animation, I would probably rather just try to make my own game or like, I don't know, like cartoon or whatever, like by myself, rather than being in a team where someone else is telling me what to do. I guess that's like my reasoning.
No, I understand what you mean. You want to have full creative controls.
Yeah. And you can't really get that when you're working for a company.
Like, your files needs to be a certain way. Like, you have to use Photoshop. You can't just use Clip Studio.
I've never even used Photoshop to draw, like, ever.
Oh man, I remember in my design class in college for animation, they only wanted Photoshop. Even though I would draw in Clip Studio Paint and just turn in a PSD, but if they saw me working in like Clip Studio, the professor would get really mad, which didn't really make sense to me.
I don't get why though. It's not like it's making you do something different. Like,
the professor really wanted us to learn. They're like, oh, if you guys cop out now, when you get into the industry, you guys will see when you convert some stuff into PSD, the layers won't work right. I want you guys to only work in Photoshop.
I hope I don't have to use Photoshop. I just realized I probably will have to this semester.
Oh man. And thinking about collabing and working together as artists, as part of the industry, this was this your first art collab as well, where you trade art files?
No, it actually wasn't. Sorry if I just interrupted you.
No, you could go on. I want to hear your experience.
So I have another artist friend, Chalcedonics, and we did like an art trade in the past, and I've done like multiple art trades before, or it's like typical, like you just draw for each other. But I've known Kals for years, and we decided for our first art trade we kind of wanted to make it different, and so we switched sketches, and it was really interesting to see like what she did to my art once she colored it, and it was really fun to color hers too. And we figured out that we really like it when our styles are combined together in that aspect. And eventually we opened collab commissions where I would draw the lines and then she would color it, and they actually did pretty well.
Cool.
Yeah, and then eventually we switched it up where she was drawing the lines and I was coloring it. It's really fun both ways. But I also did it with another artist, the name of Barry, with like a bunch of R's and E's. Like, I don't remember. But we basically did the same thing where we just switched sketches, same thing that we did. And it's really fun, honestly. It's like really interesting to see what another artist can do with what you drew and what you can do with what they drew.
Oh, that's really interesting hearing your experience with that, because this was like my first time trading art files. I was so worried about my layers being right, naming them, and then when I got your layer, I got so awkward navigating through it.
Did you actually name yours? I didn't even notice.
I tried to group them. I didn't try to group every single layer, but I tried to have them grouped, have them organized, because the only other time where I traded my files before was when in my corporate day job, where I work mostly in marketing, and I would switch Photoshop files, and it was so important for like the other person to be able to continue my work, so I treated it that way. But when I got into yours, your sketches are a little bit more messy, and I was trying to adapt to your style compared to adding my own.
Did I even name them? I forget I don't name my, but did I not name the group?
You kind of had them color coded, but then you had another sketch, and I was trying to like follow what you did instead of trying to change it too much. So I ended up doing the drawing, kind of painting it twice, because when I was just only because I didn't know. I was so scared to like manipulate your sketch.
Oh no, you could have totally I manipulated yours.
So it wasn't until later on that I decided to try doing line art, and so that I have more control over it. And I didn't
know that you don't usually do line art.
No, I hate doing line art. I hate
I also don't really like doing line art. It's not fun.
But I really like how like working with your sketches forced me out of my comfort zone. I had a hard time like figuring out what some parts were when it came to the hands. And
I realized like after we switched, I was like, wait, like my sketches kind of really messy because like I overpaint, and so I end up fixing a lot.
Yeah, I was trying to follow. I was even watching your video while I was trying to work on it because I was trying to replicate your style. I forgot the whole point of art trade is add your own spin to it. Good thing we've been working on this since November. And
it really has been that long, has it?
Yeah, because school got in the way. So that leads me into the segue into my next question. How are you balancing an art degree while being an artist full-time? Because you also run your sticker shop, you also do YouTube, you have commissions, sometimes you have brand deals. How do you do it all on top of all the art assignments? Because art assignments take forever to do.
They do, but honestly, I'm kind of like a bad student in that regard because I have like a list of priorities, and school is like supposed to be at the top, right? Then it's at the bottom for me because I literally like usually actually as a student like in high school and stuff, or like general education stuff, not art classes, I'm pretty on top of my assignments because I'm just like the type of person just like get homework over it so I could do whatever I want. But then with art, the homework is usually stuff that I don't want to draw. So that's when I procrastinate. And there was one final, my drawing final, where it was like a still life and we could choose any technique that we learned. And for some reason, I decided to be bold and do stippling the dots. And I waited until like the very last day to do it.
Oh no.
And my hand like hurt so much, and it took me literally all day.
Was it also a life study?
Yeah, it was a still life, but
I man,
kind
stippling
of, like,
on top
it.
of that. Oh yeah, you can't cheat because then they're gonna look at your reference and dot points.
No, they didn't see my. I mean, I technically traced with parchment paper, like tracing paper, but we learned that in class, and he said we could use anything we learned in class, so I just did that. But I mean, the stippling though, I didn't cheat on any of that. You can't cheat in stippling. But yeah, and I'm not really a still life drawer, but I liked how it turned out. But yeah, it's just the schoolwork really isn't like a priority to me. It's like almost the last thing I do. And I got lucky with my first semester at this new college where I actually didn't have classes that gave out a lot of homework. Like,
oh, that's good.
Yeah, a lot of the work was in class, but that also made attendance mandatory.
Oh, yeah. Man. So I wanted to ask, are you more of a C and B student?
No. In high school, I was like one of those AP kids, and so I guess I thrived to get A's or like at least 90. But in college, it kind of turned to being like, I don't know if you do this, but do you
as
ever
long
go
as you
on
pass class?
Yeah, like, do you ever go on like Canvas and do that like what if thingy where it's like, okay, what if I don't go to my final? Will I still get a 70?
Okay,
like, I would do that.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I would do too. As long as I pass, as long as I meet enough for financial aid, as long as I meet enough for my scholarship.
My first 2D drawing class, I did the final actually, but I didn't go to the Zoom class because that's when the pandemic started. And I was just like, you know what, I can get away with it. If he docks off points, I'll still pass, whatever. And so I didn't go to like my last Zoom class for my final, even though technically I was supposed to present it. Like, you know, I still turned it in though. But yeah, calculated risks.
Oh man, oh that's good. So you're just surviving like the typical art student, surviving by the green of the teeth.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's definitely not like I'm not like the like the typical art student like on YouTube that's like sleep deprived and all that, because I chose like night classes and I sleep at random times anyway. But yeah, I'm just a bit worried about this semester because I don't know what's in store for me yet, because I'm actually going to be in animation class.
Oh man.
Which is out of my comfort zone completely.
I would love to do a follow-up and hear what animate, what programs you're using, and to segue into that, would you ever think about vlogging your school experience and doing animation student vlogs?
Maybe, because like I've seen yours and I was like, that seems really fun, but I'm the type of person that's kind of like, I'm in the corner of class, like the back, and I don't talk to anyone unless they talk to me. And I've been trying to get out of that shell, but I just don't know how I would approach, like, you know, actually filming a vlog like publicly, you know, or like having other people in the shot. Like, I don't know how I would approach it, but at home, maybe. I tried to film some of my assignments, but honestly, because I was taking intro classes, the assignments were kind of boring. And I was just thinking, like, these wouldn't really make good videos because it's not exactly my best work either, because it's out of my comfort zone. And yeah, but in animation, since that could be a bit more related to what I actually do, and it could be a learning experience, hard maybe. It seems fun though.
Oh, I definitely would love to see, especially when you start your animation classes, if you can. First, you gotta get permission from professors, but even then, don't. It's like a tricky gray area, because I would be you gotta get permission from professors, but I would say like the best way to go about it, since I'm really interested in your coursework, is to get like angles of just you working on the computer, because I find that the most interesting parts about animation vlogs, seeing what type of assignments that they have, what they're working on, and the rest you can just get little random snippets throughout the day. You can just be super close up, because a lot of the time you don't have to show yourself in those vlogs.
Yeah, just like my hands.
Yeah, it could just be your hands, it could just be your food, it could just be you doodling while there's a lecture going on with a little bit of ambient sound. But the main focus would be, would be really interesting to hear, to see your experience, because I another question that I have lead into that, do you go to a private school, or is it a public school? And if it is a public school, is it a college, or is it a community college, or is it a public university?
So it's a public university. It's a Cal State near LA. Yeah. And so like it's Cal State, and Cal State's they're not as cheap as a community college, but if you have financial aid, you know, you can get by with financial aid. And so that's what I'm doing right now. And, you know, it's not like a private nonprofit, but it's definitely one of the more, I guess, art-focused school where it has a really good art.
Oh, that's nice.
So, yeah, I was lucky enough to get in. I actually kind of have a story about that.
How did you get in? Because I know, like, I couldn't qualify for university because like, I wanted to go to the university in my state, and the qualification for the animation program is steep. So I'm sorry to cut you off, but I would love to hear that. That's why I went community college.
It wasn't exactly like applying to the animation program per se. It was more just like getting
the school.
The school.
That's the hardest part.
And because I got my previous first college straight out of high school was also Cal State, and I was like just thinking like, I got into this Cal State, why can't I get into this one? And I kind of had like, I don't know, like a almost like a conceited attitude about it because like I
It's
wasn't a
confidence.
student. Like I had a 4.0 and stuff, so I had like that, you know, confidence or whatever.
So you have the
but-
grades, you got the grades,
Like,
you got the you
from
got the
high school.
qualifications.
And I was actually I transferred with my sister, and my sister she went to a community college, and her like college track record isn't the best per se, and she got in, and you know, and I was like, okay, that should be simple enough. All we need now to make the move is for me to get in. And then I got rejected, and it was like almost like it was like a punch to the face, you know, like a slap back to reality, where I was like, okay, I shouldn't have been that conceited about it. And luckily, I knew someone who works at a university. It's not the university that I'm currently going to, but they know the ins and outs of kind of like admission, and they were able to get into contact with someone, and I was able to find out the reason why my application got declined, because I had an inkling on it, and I think I just like messed up my units, and my application didn't have enough units because you need like 60 units to transfer.
Oh,
I think it said like I had
that's
like
college credits,
you know,
right?
too little. Yeah. And
That's
it was like
not
this
an
thing.
associate's degree.
Yeah, because I'm trying to get my bachelor's right now, and it was really scary because there was just like these couple of weeks of uncertainty, you know, because we'd already gotten like lease, and I was just like, what am I gonna do if I'm not going to college there? And it was really scary, and luckily, you know, like the problem was solved. They found the mistake and they fixed it. I got in, but it was like a slap back to reality, you know, like you gotta always have a plan B, and I didn't, because once again, do stuff impulsively, so I didn't have a plan B.
Oh man, that's really scary. I'm glad that you have I'm glad with your experience that you have all the credentials to be able to the transfer, and how they just made a mistake. Because for me, I just didn't have the grades.
They told you outright?
I didn't have the SAT
Or-
scores. I bombed my ACT in high school. I got like a 17, the passing score that they need for you to even apply to the college I wanted to go to, which was the University of Central Florida. You need to at least have a 25.
Oh, it's like a uni, not a Cal State. All right, well, obviously that's not
Yeah, I guess
California.
it's like, I don't know much about California. I'm in Florida. I'm in the
I guess,
South.
So like in California, there are Cal States, which are kind of like moderate.
Prestigious.
No, they're not prestigious. They're like moderate. Like they're a step above community college, but then the step above Cal States are like universities, like UCLA.
Oh, like the center of.
Yeah, but and then those you have to like write essays for in order to get in. I didn't have to write an essay.
You gotta have the SAT scores, yeah.
I'm completely ignorant of how things work in other states, so.
But those things really help, because like I didn't have a 4.0. I think I graduated with a 3.0. I was a C student even in high school, because I was managing YouTube at that point. I didn't really think school mattered.
That sounds so cool.
I didn't think school mattered too much. And even when I did get into college, because I already had my associate's degree from another college. So when I did start my animation thing, I really wish I knew about it. So knowing your options, guys, having proper grades, you still need to have proper grades to get into some of the better universities, because we're talking about at least in the United States, there is a difference between college and then university. Universities are more 4 years, college are more 2 years. You don't have to go through all those entrance or get the right grades for. So it's interesting hearing your process for that. That was, oh man, I hated the SATs, ACTs in high school, because you also have to pay to take those tests too. So, oh man.
Oh my gosh, I forgot. I was like, I don't have like a rich family, so I just use the waivers. So I never pay.
Even with the waivers, you have to fight the schools to get them.
Like you mentioned the ACT scores. I don't have ACT scores. I only had to take the
The SATs. Oh man,
Yeah.
I heard the SATs was a bit. I thought the ACT would be easier to take, and then I took it on the day and I didn't do so good. And to get my other free waivers, I really had to fight the school, and I'm like, I'm not doing this. I don't care. But
Can I ask you a question, actually?
yes.
So, like, I found you through your I Quit Animation School video. And recently, I haven't watched it, but, like, I saw the title and you did the animation challenge at art school thing. And, like, I guess without context, can you, like, kind of tell me what that video is about? Because I was, like, wondering. I was like, oh, like, did she start looking into, like, school again? Yeah, because I thought, like, you were just being self-study.
Oh, I'm still self-studying. That's just an older vlog. I know that confused a lot of people. I need to make a new video because I was like wondering. No. I still have so many vlogs from when I was in school. I just haven't had the chance to edit since my workload has mostly been a bunch of brand deals and other tech stuff, so I haven't had a lot of chance to tackle them. But no, I am self-studying. There's not many art schools for animations here in Georgia because I did move out of Miami since I couldn't afford those rental prices. It's ridiculous. Everything went up by 4 times during the pandemic, and even before that, I was struggling with the school workload. The animation program I went to at Miami-Dade Community College, it felt super accelerated. I felt like I needed some more. I still wanted, even if I didn't move, I wanted to take a gap year to work on my regular skills because the classes were just moving too fast. So
really?
Yes.
So like in an actual art school, it's a lot more rigorous, right? Because I don't go to an art school. I just go to a university.
From what I've learned, I definitely want to do more stuff like this and interview people that actually go to animation schools. But yeah, at least I've talked to one person in my server that went to the school that I was trying to get into, the University of Central Florida. Apparently from what I've researched, they had a really good animation program for public schools. But even then, the person I talked to also told me they don't completely have their stuff together. There still are professors that are Googling things in class. So
I guess it really just depends.
It really just depends. And even in like private schools, because my Discord server, that's where I get a lot of other animation students from around the world, and even in different countries, there's still professors that are still lackluster in even other country. I know this one person I was talking to my Discord server that goes to an art school in Germany that even though it's a bit more structured, they're doing pipeline stuff, there's still some teachers that are still not so great. I don't think I want to go back to school as of yet for animation. I don't like the workload. I do not like the workload. I want to learn. Like a lot. Yeah, I want to learn at my own pace, and also it's super expensive. Even when you do pay the most top price for it, doesn't always mean you'll get a quality education.
Yeah, and I gather that it's like hard to feel like it's worth all that money.
Yeah, and time too. Like for my associate's degree, I was working multiple like full-time jobs and I was okay. And I did a general graphic designs degree and I was able to do, the workload wasn't as intensive. For this program, I would have to do so many renders in every week, and those things take forever. I went to the lab, there wasn't enough people to help. Even when there was people to help, I still didn't understand what was going on. And with like 2D animation, my professor at that time wasn't the best, so googling YouTube video in the lab, there wasn't enough help. So it was just super stressful. It was like making me lose it was affecting my grades. My grades got really bad. I failed multiple classes. It affected my financial aid. I ran out of scholarship, and it was just like, oh no, I rather try the self-learning route where right now I have a list of a couple people from the industry that do have courses and that do have one-on-one that I want to learn from, because I don't want to learn everything, because I'm not trying to work in the industry. I just want to make my own animated shows on the internet, like Jaden Animation, The Odd Ones Out, people like that, and more full shows like Hell of a Boss. So
would you say that you are like the type of person who self-studies, but you still kind of need like a class structure, like a course structure to be able to learn, like how you mentioned the courses that other artists would put up online.
It helps tremendously because the biggest challenge of self-learning is discipline. Like it's really hard for me because you know how you mentioned how you wouldn't want to do some of the work at school since the assignment is boring. Instead of like I right now my main the way I'm tackling that is making the thing fun, so that way I want to do it. So instead of making the thing boring, like it's a boring school rigid structure, I'm telling myself I'm finding fun audios on TikToks that I want to animate, that are short, that are fun, that I want to do. And then from me wanting to do those stuff, I learn, because that's how some of my favorite YouTube animators learn how to animate. Like Jaden Animation just one day decided to sit down and do some fan animation of Iha's Cupcake, which was this gaming YouTuber, and that's how she learned.
I used to watch her.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? Let me do my stuff project based, because I really want to learn Toon Boom Harmony, because it's the best software for 2D animation. You can combine puppet animation with frame by frame, and so if I do those short tiny projects, I get like some wins in, and then I feel good, and it makes me want to do more. So I'm trying to teach myself as if I'm teaching like a younger kid, like younger kid doing something for the first time. And I remember when I first started drawing when I was young. No, I guess not drawing, that's not a good example. I'm getting too sidetracked. But yeah, I gotta keep things fun and entertaining compared to like feeling like I have to make things super rigid and disciplined, because that's how I end up hating art, and it makes me feel like I'm back to school again.
That's how the passion burns out.
Yeah, it's just not fun. So I feel like once I find a project I really like, then my mind will start finding ways to...
It is really good to like have a goal for what you want to do. Or like a short-term goal, I guess, compared to a long-term goal. I mean, it's best to have both.
Yeah, because I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I've been wanting to animate since I was 14, and I feel like I still don't know anything. And I spent a year in school for animation. I still don't know anything at all. It just made me feel more insecure, because of all this time I've been mostly working on art by myself. Like the last time I was around a bunch of other artists was when I went to Performing Arts High School, and it just made me, and just seeing other people, I know it's comparison, it is really bad, but there's some people that just come in at so many different levels, and so the teacher can't accommodate to all these different people. There's some people that came in, they already know 3D already, they just need to know how to do backgrounds, and I feel like I don't know anything.
And the animation like department is so broad.
Yeah, too. They teach you everything at once. It's really overwhelming.
Like even if you're not interested in character design, they're gonna be teaching you character design. Or if you're not interested in 3D art, like they're gonna be teaching you that.
Oh man, and this industry is all about your portfolio and who you know. And so if I make funny memes and animations on the internet, I'm hoping to replicate the similar success that Jaden Animation did, because she did a bunch of fan animation for other people, and then she ended up working for them, and then now she has such a big presence online, and she has enough money to hire other animators.
That's the dream.
Yeah, but my goal, I don't just want to do like YouTube story times. I want to go hell of a boss. I want to take that a step further, where it's just like more story driven, because storytime, I feel like the storytime genre on YouTube, you don't have as much to like explore and do crazy wacky things. I want to do like stuff like be a puppy cat and go, I don't want to make stuff about like regular life, because that's depressing. So yeah, but I want to follow her, because and also there's been constant cancellation in the industry. So many artists that work on many series have been canceled now. So I've just seen that. The industry is very unstable. So they're going where the eyeballs are. So if you can bring the eyeballs to you, you have a lot of negotiating power, I feel, in terms of like companies coming to you, because I've seen also happen with comedy too, not even animators, where some of my favorite comedy YouTubers like Caleb City, RDC World, they're getting reached out by networks to have their own shows on there. Like things are changing, everything's online. So
yeah, it's like the other way around.
Yeah,
all the turntables.
So if I can find a way for me to become better storyteller online, I don't even need a studio. I don't need to go through that whole process of learning their pipeline, their workflow. I would still like to work in a studio one day to learn how they organize and how to, they work with each other, and also just be really nice to experience, because I still, it's still a dream. But
have you ever had the opportunity to?
One time, but it's not really a studio. It's just this app that makes animation. The software called Flip a Clip. I talked to some of the founders, and they're talking about opening up a studio, and they're asking some of my opinions on it, if I would. But it's not anything set in stone, so I don't want to. But yeah, but I also feel like I'm underqualified, so I want to spend a lot of years learning to be confident and learning how to be a better story. And I think like you learn that from replication, from replicating replicating things that already exist. I think that's what's really nice about meme culture, because even with the creators of Ruby, they started by making fan arts of Halo. They were making like funny Halo like animations in the Halo game itself, and now they had enough money from that for them to make Ruby, and now Ruby's on Crunchyroll. So
yeah, fan art is really powerful in that regard.
So yeah, I know
it's like, if you don't have the ideas to make what you want to make, fan art is like a great outlet for that. You don't have to worry about the source material or making it. You just have to like draw what already exists.
And you get to the chance to connect with the existing fan base.
It can give you a network in a niche that can give you other opportunities.
Because even remember the Pokemon movie? There was this guy that makes realistic
RJ Palmer.
Yeah,
I
realistic
fan
art of Pokemon. He got hired from that. And the thing is, school teaches the reverse of that. They only want original stuff. Like for each assignment, they're like, make something original, make something original. And I feel like they're so behind, and the industry is changing before their eyes.
It's how like almost like traditional artists are, kind of, because I've never ran into a professor who is also a digital artist themselves, but in my 3D art class last semester, as much as I like that professor and his teaching method, he's the type of professor that is like, I don't want you to make something that already exists. I don't want you to make something you know is pretty or popular, and I want you to make something that doesn't exist, invent something, like that. And I'm just like, but why? Like, what is wrong with going with what's pretty? What is wrong with going with what works? There's nothing wrong with it. And
I feel like it's such an elitist way to go about art. That's why I didn't like art school, man. It's not even art school, it's just community college.
It's art classes in general and art professors,
are like very snobby. It's not even just a professor, it's other people too. They have an air of arrogance sometimes, stereotypically speaking. So speaking about that, how does your professors feel about you having an anime art style? Because I remember you were talking about that on your Twitter. I wanted to hear more about it from you.
Well, I guess like this first semester in my new college, because I'm taking intro classes, I haven't really had the opportunity to kind of show off my actual art, I guess, because I was taking a 3D class, and that was like out of my comfort zone. And I was taking a 2D design class where it was primarily done on Illustrator, and so we're not actually like drawing. We're just like putting together assets. And in my drawing class, we were doing still lives, which is also not exactly what I like. I can't draw like anime still life, So a lot of them actually don't know like what I do. And my 3D professor, the same one who was like, don't do something that already exists, I say that I like him because despite being that type of mindset as a I really learned a lot in that class. And one day I was like, I I got to class and we were on our way to an exhibit in this school of a grad student's sculpture. And we got to talking, and I told him, like, oh, I'm a small business owner, and I do some commissions and stuff. And he's like, oh, like, what's your small business? And I told him that I make stickers, and I was very hesitant to say it because, like, he's an art professor. This is college, and, like, who knows what his reaction could be to me making stickers. Like, that it could be 50-50, good or bad. And luckily, it was good, and that he didn't seem to mind it too much. And he actually says, like, oh, like, that seems interesting. I'd want to see that one day. And luckily, he never remembered it because I didn't want to show him, because I also didn't have that confidence of, like, knowing, like, what would he say if he saw me drawing this duck with pants, you know?
Oh, she's referring to her stickers. Oh, her art store.
I'm just like, I don't want to show him. And he, like, condescended, you know, or whatever it's called. It's just, yeah. There's kind of, like, you kind of have to tiptoe around it, you know, and kind of test the waters. And that tweet that you're talking about, was it the one where I was complaining about one of my professors?
Yeah, I thought
what did I say?
I don't remember exactly, but you were saying on how they were complaining about any type of anime influence in people's art, and they're thinking it's not real art, because that's the whole.
I think it was my 2D design professor, and I actually liked that professor too, because I learned a lot in that class too. But on our first day, we had to kind of present an artist who has influenced our outlook on design, or even, it doesn't even have to be an artist, it could just be like anything that has influenced your type of design that you're drawn to. Some people submitted like Jordan's shoes, some people submitted an iPhone design, a car, and the majority of it was like artworks like Studio Ghibli or some animes or whatever. It wasn't exactly like a prejudice against anime, because my professor likes animation and stuff like that. But I submitted Aruseli or Night Zhang's video about character design, and I was just saying, like, Night Zhang is a digital artist and they're a character designer, and I really like how they do their designs, and that's how, like, they've influenced me. And my professor was saying something like a note or like something that they were interested in about every person's like influence whenever they spoke about theirs. And then mine was kind of just like, okay, that's cool. Like, just nonchalant, like he didn't really care about it because it was a digital artist. You know, even though it was literally about design. And I was just like, does he not take like digital artists
seriously?
Or does he not take character designers as seriously? Like, I was just like so confused by this like treatment of a digital artist I like really look up to, because like, yeah, they're not a Van Gogh or Picasso, but they are still a really great artist in, you know, this day and age, and they deserve that recognition
and respect.
Like, not every artist has to be dead for them to be considered, you know, like a great influence on others.
Oh man, that's crazy to hear. It's that, especially with the whole digital arts, I can't believe there's still some teachers that are like still that out of touch.
And I'm really looking forward to getting into animation classes more, because there's more likely for the professors to be, you know, more accepting of digital art, because animation is mostly done in digital now, and you know, it's more likely to get a professor who's a digital artist themselves. Like my sister, she's also an animation major, just like she took animation 1 last semester, and I got to kind of preview what might be in store for me if I took that professor that she had. And her professor has like an Instagram, and he draws like portraits of actors in digital. So cool. He uses Procreate, and he allowed them to use Procreate to animate the only thing with that professor, which is preventing me from taking him, is that he's the type that gives out homework that is like, we're learning perspective this week. You need to draw 80 boxes.
Oh my god.
It's like that, like literally, okay, you need to draw 100 gesture drawings.
Oh, man, I had a professor like that, but I low-key like the guy. He forced me out of my comfort zone, but I still have the time.
But I just think, like, why do I need to draw 100 gestures when I can get like the same concept and practice doing 20? You know,
Practice makes perfect, but who has the time?
That's too much practice. Like at one point, it's no longer practice; it's torture.
The risk. Oh man. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, let's just say I'm not taking that professor, even though he seems really cool.
Oh man, I have a question that's a bit different from the current ones. Is that did you have a hard time making friends, growing up compared to getting into college? Because I know the college you went to is not specifically art college. Do you have? Is it hard making friends?
So, I'm not like a particularly social person, but let's just say most of the art friends that I've gained in my life have been made through like Twitter or online. I've never really met people in real life who are interested in the same art as me. But lately, because now I'm in more focused classes, in my 3D class, I don't know if I could exactly call them friends, you know, but
acquaintances. You start small.
yeah, like it was like this group of girls that I was in. There was like 4 of us, and they are also art majors. But it's really interesting to get like people's different views, because one of them is also a 2D and 3D animation major, but she's never like touched animation in her life, and she's not like particularly experienced in drawing too, but she knows like what her preferences in art are. And there was another who is very much in the same niche as like us within digital art, where it's like character art, and she like draws storyboards. She showed me some, and it was really fun to do that, because I've never really like had someone in real life or in person who I've been able to talk about digital art with, like knowing that they know exactly what I'm talking about and I don't have to explain anything to them. So it's really refreshing to finally be able to meet people like that, and I look forward to meeting more, because in my old college, the one where it was the only art degrees that were available in that college was studio art and art history. And so the people that I was in classes they're not digital artists. They're like traditional artists, you know? And so I'm like, what am I supposed to talk to them about? Like, I can't like talk about Eclipse Studio Paint or Procreate or anything.
That's
like
interesting to hear, because I thought California was the land of all artists. I thought everywhere you go, you see an animator or somebody that works in movies. I don't know.
I used to live.
That's all the studios are.
I used to live in this place called Bakersfield. There are like people watching this who are from Bakersfield. Sorry, but that place is a dump. It's like literally, it's known for having the most oil in California, and it's just like, it's not a great place for artistic people. Like the artistic people go to LA, which is where I am now, and it's definitely much more open here whenever talking about like digital art. Because you're more likely, like I joined. It's like
moving closer to the city type of vibe.
Yeah. I joined the animation club.
There's an animation club. Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah, and it's not like I don't want to go to the meetings because I can't. Like I don't have time to. But I joined the Discord for the animation club, and there's so many people there who do the same thing as me.
What? That's so nice.
Finally be around.
Gotta let me slide to that Discord.
Yeah, this same kind of people. and okay. And there's like resources and stuff. Yeah, it's really cool.
That's so cool. Oh man, the reason I asked that because my experience has been like the reverse, where I don't know if it's because it's a Florida thing. There's this whole joke about Florida man. People here are more rude.
Yep.
Or more to themselves. So I met people that did draw, that did do what I had to do, but I was also really weird in high school. So I'm not gonna use high school as an example, but it was very hard to make friends with other people that were artists. And in college, I became more busy, and people just already had their own friends group and from high school that they're like, oh no, I just don't have the extra time or energy to develop, you know. Because I met a lot of people from my animation program, but they were just way too busy, and I never had somebody flat out told me like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I already have my high school friends. You're really cool, but I don't want to vibe with you." Like, yeah, they sounded so genuine. I don't even think they thought that it sounded kind of rude, but they just literally flat out told me that they already have their high school friends that they're not trying to. It's just too much for them. But I'm glad that they were upfront with me.
I guess they're transparent. Yeah.
You know, I'm glad they're upfront with me, but
They're just ghosting you.
yeah. I had such a hard time. I always like my dream was just to have somebody I could draw, go to cafes with, but it's always been really difficult to plan. And when I went to Magnet High School, in Florida, where there was a lot of artists, everybody was in their own cliques and nobody really like talked to each other. Granted, I couldn't get into the art program. I was actually in the tech program, because that art program you had to get approved for it ever since you were in middle school. So the people that were in there were like,
What?
so yeah, we're like super talented. That they were doing AP art stuff. They're competing and they're super like competitive. Where even though I would like sneak into the art rooms all the time, I would talk to some people here and there. It was difficult to make friends. Part of it was on me being like really awkward and still kind of shy and stuff. But yeah, I mostly made a lot of my art friends online, mostly through Discord. I made a lot of my art friends recently from my own Discord server, which has been a really nice experience hearing other people. So I know it was really interesting to hear your experiences with making friends in art school, and you getting more comfortable with talking with people. I think that's really nice to find more people that use the type of programs you use, because then it makes it. I feel like it makes things a little bit easier to ask questions, because I learned so much from my classmates at school, and also some of the new friends I made online, and even people from my Discord server that I'm not super close with. It's really nice because for digital arts, there's still, even though I was in school, there's still not that much resource on it for different stuff. I've been using Clip Studio Paint for years, and I'm still learning new things from it, from just my friends drawing. And the thing is, a lot of my friends, they don't make content of their art, so I can't just like lurk and just watch their videos and learn from that. So when they just share their screen sometimes, they do streams, I'd be watching their stream, but when somebody's just drawing spontaneously and seeing how they work, I'm like, oh, how did you do that? There's like cool shortcuts you do it, and it's just really nice.
Yeah, it feels really nice not to have to tiptoe as much about being a digital artist. I feel like every digital artist knows that feeling where you're not exactly comfortable within a group of creatives to say, this is what I do, you know, or like say I draw anime. Like a lot of people are embarrassed to say that because they're not sure what the reaction is. But when you're in a group of people you know are other digital artists, you know, you get a lot more comfortable to just speak about what you like and what content you create without it feeling weird or like feeling insecure about it. And that's a really great thing.
Oh, that's good. Because another thing I learned is other habits of other artists. When I watch a video, I would see the completion of the art in that video. But when I watch my friends draw and we draw on Discord for several days, I see how long art takes, and I'm always trying to rush myself to be fast, but then seeing how my friends take their time on it and how nice it comes out, and it helps me. Because also another good habit I've learned from my friends is to draw while watching other artists draw. I didn't have that habit before. I didn't used to watch Draw With Me's. I actually learned about your channel from one of my art friends, and then you started to come up more in my recommendation feed.
Oh, right, you said that. I remember.
I never watched it because my ADHD brain wants the video fast. I was so used to watching speed paints on TikTok that watching long videos where people are doing things slowly just didn't click to me. I would mostly.
The first time I watched a Draw With Me was because I ran out of podcasts to watch, and
Same.
I saw I got recommended Likelihood Art's Draw With Me. I like honestly I should have watched her other videos, but there was this one video I really liked. I literally would just put on like 3 times a day. Like,
even then, her videos are not long enough, so
Yeah,
I would
and it wasn't
also
even, like-
need more.
yeah, and it wasn't even like I guess the content of the video per se that was drawing me to it, but it was just the feeling of being, you know, like you're drawing with another
Someone.
artist. Yeah.
And I didn't know that like watching Draw With Me has replicated that feeling of because I felt in that void of wanting an art friend to draw with, and before I didn't used to watch people's streams because I didn't really it was hard for me to figure out when people would be online, and because a lot of the artists I would follow, they would stop posting and they would disappear, and I would think something happened. So I didn't really see a lot of art content on my YouTube feed. I mostly only see art stuff on TikTok, and I started noticing a thing in my own habit of like, I don't know. I'm going off to a tangent. That's not super important. But yeah, watching Draw With Me's helped me improve my art a lot. I realized I wasn't watching other people draw or create or really understand what they were making.
There's really a lot to learn from other people.
And it felt nice and also I didn't even know how to watch Draw With Me. So I thought I need to watch every second and be glued to the screen. And my friend says, no, you don't have to do that. You can just go eat or whatever. It's good. Like you're not gonna get it all. And I was watching them to learn because I was watching them wrong. And my friend says, no, just vibe, just enjoy. Just listen to what that person's saying. It does. You're not always there to learn. You'll just learn naturally from just seeing them do stuff. I didn't know how to just exist and absorb it because I'm so used to I only listen to like business focused podcasts that has a point, clear purpose. That was really hard for me to consume content that was just meant to like relax and enjoy, even though the person was creating art. So it took me I had to rework my brain, and in turn help me enjoy my own art creating process instead of feeling I felt like my improvement in my art has gotten better by watching your content a lot, by watching a lot of other artists draw with me. And even now I've been trying to catch my friends' live stream and try to draw when they're drawing, because then it gets me into a mode. It feels really good because the biggest thing about working for yourself is that it's extremely lonely. Like it's not like at school where you have a bunch of people that's drawing, you're drawing too. You have to create those moments. So like long drawing videos, I guess like this one, since this is a Draw With Me, are helpful, and I start to finally understand them too, because I had a hard time trying to replicate those videos, so I would speed up the video super fast. So I'm like, oh, this is boring, I need to catch people's attention super fast. So I don't know if you ever had that similar experience, but
well, when I first started making Draw With Me's, I think I sped it up like 300%. So it was fairly fast, but lately I've been trying to slow it down a bit. And my sister's actually my editor, and she cuts out like the empty parts where like nothing's happening, where I'm kind of just like staring at my drawing, which I tend to do a lot. And so, but when I did that myself, it was so time consuming. You really kind of have to like meticulously watch the footage, and it's not great. But and then now I'm kind of transitioning to again just not cutting out those small moments anymore, because it just kind of like feels more continuous, less cuts, and it's like less work to make the videos too, and it kind of, I don't know, I feel like ups the togetherness feeling of the video when there's less cuts, because I'm pretty sure most people who watch drawings don't actively watch like, the video.
I didn't know that was the point of them, but I think it helps though, like because when I look up and I see an artist take forever because sometimes I takes me 50 tries to get like even the fill tool right, and seeing another artist doing that makes you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. I also struggle with this tool. I normally only watch like perfect like speed up versions of all the best parts, so it puts that pressure on me to like subconsciously do it like that each time. Seeing other artists like their process, their full process makes me, it feels human. It feels like I'm connecting with someone in a way. Final question I have for you is, what were your expectations for learning art in school versus when you were self-learning?
So, art in school, I was expecting it to be definitely a lot more focused. I was expecting to learn and do stuff that I hadn't yet like done, but as in like increasing my skill and what I already know. But instead, I'm doing things like 3D art and like stuff that I wasn't really looking forward to doing, I guess. I mean, I guess it's still learning because it's something I hadn't done before, but
I get what you mean. You thought it was you're gonna learn like
I
things
thought-
are
I
interested
thought I was
in.
gonna be able to like design characters and
Yes,
stuff,
start on
you know?
that right away.
But it wasn't. But there's like being optimistic about it. There's still a lot that I can apply to my life and to my art. Like 3D art, the first project we worked with cardboard, and that was just absolutely terrible.
Oh my god! Oh, I
But-
did a project like that too.
Yeah, and
I made a
didn't
3D
really
Kirby.
like it. But now, all my leftover materials from that class and supplies, I'm now using it to make books with bookbinding,
Oh, that's
which
cool.
is like, I'm like, dang, I'm really thankful I took that class now. And it's not exactly related to my art and content
It's-
making per se, but it's
But it's
still
still
like,
making art for
something.
yourself.
Yeah, and I could like maybe print out my own art in the future. And now I know how to bookbind, and I have the supplies to do it. And yeah, like I just make like hardcover books with like my own cardboard because now I know how to work with cardboard for that class. And in 2D design, when the one where I worked in Illustrator primarily, that class was a headache because Illustrator, I hated working with
Adobe
Illustrator.
Illustrator.
But even though I wasn't particularly interested in like poster design, we still learned the rules of design that can basically be applied to anything, right? Like
That's
color
marketing.
theory.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
elements of
I
designs
could
is
apply that to my compositions and my
Your
art, and I
thumbnails.
do. Yeah, and
Video.
I even just like illustrations. Like there's a hierarchy in design where if your background is low contrast but your foreground is good contrast, and people will look at your focal point more, and that could be applied to a lot of things like saturation within a drawing, and you know, and I got to apply a lot of that. But I guess with self-learning on the other, you can really target specifically what you want, because when you enter a
Yeah.
class in college, you don't exactly know what you're going to be getting. You know, you don't know how the professor's going to be unless you like meticulously read their reviews on Rate My Professor.
Even then, that's
which I
not
do.
helpful. That doesn't.
Yeah. But with self-learning, you could be like, oh, I want to get better at hands. Let me keep watching hand tutorials. Eventually, you will learn from other artists, you know, and you can really pick and choose what you do. Like right now, I actually did this before we started recording, but I decided that I really want to get into experimenting again, and I want to study like old classical oil paintings
Oh.
and like 20th century book covers for like romance books where they're also oil painting, and that style, like, you know how like 1950s art looks like the poster art.
Oh yeah.
The
I remember
vibe
I
that
had
they
to
have.
make a research essay on that.
The vibe that has, and also the vibe that like portraits of like duchesses and stuff from back then, you know. And I was like thinking, I would absolutely love to see my characters within that setting, like an alternate universe type of setting.
That
And
would
I
be
would,
so cool.
yeah, and I was like looking at these portraits and stuff, and I was trying to look for dark-skinned people because I was really interested in how those old oil painters like approach dark skin, and there's really only like a few paintings of a dark-skinned person who was like higher in the upstep and like on the same level as like a rich white girl. And I was like, I want to draw my character Isabella in a portrait
That
like
would be so
where
pretty.
she is the icon, she is the moment, you know. And I'm gonna need to do a lot of learning and research, and so
Are you gonna
earlier
actually
I was-
try it with oil painting, or are you gonna try it with
no,
like digital?
no, I'm just gonna do it in digital. But you know, I was like, okay, I have this thing that I want to do, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna do it. And the
Are you
way
gonna
to do
figure?
that,
Are you gonna figure
you
it
know,
out?
is to study the stuff and study these artists, their art styles. But with self-learning, you really have to have a certain amount of self-discipline. Like when I asked you earlier how you prefer to be in a course setting, in a class setting still, even though you are like at home learning, like you'd rather prefer kind of a setup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where someone else is teaching and it's not exactly you like just doing things by yourself. I'm like do things by myself type of person. I've never really like checked out like art classes online. I like the ones you mentioned. And
Have
I
you
just
ever
prefer
taken
to
a
be-
course before? Because courses, it's just
yeah,
like
no,
it's
I
not live.
haven't. I guess the closest I've done to that is like way back then when I was first starting. I watched a lot of Mark Brunet, Cube Brush, his tutorials,
Oh,
and I also watched Ahmed Al-Douri's coloring tutorials and some of Ethan Becker's stuff.
so you rather
but
just go in and like figure it out
Yeah, I'd
compared to
rather just
having
be like,
structure?
let me study this old portrait of this old princess and see what I can learn from it. And it's kind of like a non-guaranteed
No,
method,
that's
but
a good way to train your eye, because I actually learned that from
Yeah.
school on how to train your eye to do things. So that's really cool to just go in. Because for me, I'm trying to tackle that this year so I could have more fun with it. But my mind feels like I need a course. I need something to teach me around like all these tools, especially because I want to do a couple of short animations this year in Toon Boom. I can't just go in there and play with it and just like figure it out. I would rather.
it's not how you work.
My mind feels like that's a waste of time. I rather like learn from somebody that already done it before and then figure out
Yeah.
how to apply it to my own thing. But it's
Yeah, everyone works differently.
but I feel like that's definitely the more fun way, and it was really interesting to hear
Yeah,
your
it's definitely
experience.
more fun to self-learn than it is to be in art school or school in art.
No, that's interesting to hear that. But so, what is pushing you to continue with school, even though your route seems to point to doing everything on your own, creating your own things? What do you believe that you'll gain from school if you feel like you can learn everything on your own?
I guess it's more like a fear that I've wasted all that time that I've already dedicated to school, time and money. Actually,
I feel that.
because,
Sunk cost fallacy.
I started college in 2019, and like technically speaking, I should have gotten my bachelor's right now if everything was going well and all right. But then the pandemic happened,
Oh man.
and I took a couple semesters off, just like a lot of people during the pandemic. And it's kind of just like I'm here now, and I might as well just run to the finish line, you know, like just let me
Just get it
this
out of the
degree
way. Get it out of
just
the
so that
way
I could have it
as a
and
backup
not-
plan in case something
Yeah,
goes
and-
wrong.
so that I can tell myself that I didn't waste that money, like with all those other art classes, only to not get what I wanted, you know. And realistically speaking, I don't know if I will ever use the degree. I don't know if I will ever actually wave it around in a resume and get hired at a company. But at least it's there. You know, at least the credibility is there if I ever do and I guess I'm kind of just like indifferently going toward it, and kind of just hoping that I'll enjoy the animation classes in the future, you know?
I hope so too. That starts up soon. Another follow-up question I have for that. Would you still continue school if you had to take out debt to finish it?
Ooh, I don't know. Because that's like one of my goals in life, just never be in student debt. And I'm good so far, still $0. But I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't. Honestly, I've never actually thought about it. And it's a really good question.
Because I was in the same boat that you were in. My financial aid hasn't completely dried up yet, but just the fact that it's running out and I still have so many years left of school scares me. I don't want to continue without like knowing full proof I could afford this.
Yeah, it's really scary. It's like, I don't know, if I had to take out that money, I guess I would have to think about if it was worth it, and if I would be able to actually get a job with the degree that I paid for in order to pay it off. And I wouldn't be really confident in being able to get an industry job, to be honest. Because even though I'm confident in my art, I am not confident in my abilities to work within a team and work under someone's supervision. And yeah, that's there's like uncertainty in that. So I honestly probably would just drop out if I didn't have financial aid.
Oh, I see. No, I just wanted to hear your experience with that, especially since a lot of my viewers are listening. They keep asking if it's worth it to take out loans, and these are some of the decisions that goes into trying to pursue an art degree. Good as you know, it's interesting to hear your perspective was as similar as mine. That's why like I thought about that like far ahead enough where that's why I got my associate's degree first. So even though the second degree I couldn't finish, at least I have that. I have that associate's degree saying I spent some time in college. And even if I didn't finish that, I did a dual degree in high school where I went to a technical school that was also a high school. So I have a web development certificate. I told myself, oh, I have that. I have a piece of paper that will put me back into the workforce if this whole art thing doesn't work out.
Yeah, you have like a good backup plan.
I was gonna say, I wanted to ask, do you have any backup careers per se, or you just
I actually don't
fall into the art, going straight
it's
for
really
the
bad.
One Piece?
Like, one time I was asked for like, what would I do if I didn't get into art, and I honestly don't know. I feel like I could confidently say that I would at least go somewhere in the creative like industry, because I just really love to create, and if it wasn't like drawing, maybe I don't know, maybe I would get into writing or making some other type of thing eventually. Or if I wasn't being creative, my backup plan would have been like something in math, which sounds really depressing.
Oh, math! You hate math? So why was that an option?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't hate math. I'm good at it.
Ah, I see.
It's just like it's like a guaranteed thing that I could probably be really good at. But that's not something that would be very enjoyable to do for the rest of my life, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting to hear, because it's a conversation that I constantly talk about in my art Discord server, and I learned that if you have any type of college like credits, you can actually be a substitute teacher in most states. And they pay decent money. So that's one thing that I thought about it. And even in some states, if you have enough like credits, you can even be like an art teacher at public schools. Because like non-curriculum based teachers, they're not as rigorous. depending on which state that you are in. So that's something like I'm always thinking about, and I think like that's what I really like about you, is that you jump right into your passion. You're like the anime characters I grew up watching, like Luffy straight up for the One Piece all the way back home, and I feel like that's the type of attitude that normally succeed more because you forced yourself to succeed. Like, I have nothing else, I'm in the water right now.
It is a bit self-destructive though, because I don't have a backup plan and I don't really think this through. Like, I'm gonna be transparent and say that I spent around $2,000 to start up my sticker business, and like I don't know what I would have done if I didn't make any money from that. But but I still would have done it because I did it impulsively, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like it sounds great to like be like, yeah, go head straight into these things, but it's also really like
risky. No,
yeah,
I don't blame you. I did the same risky investment, and I didn't recoup the cost back until several months later. So I was like, what? And the thing is, I did it at the worst possible time, right before I knew I had to move. And I think the reason I didn't succeed as much in it is because I was always thinking of having a backup plan. So in my mind, it made me more insecure in my decision making. I felt like if I had a mindset like you, I would have found a way. If that makes sense. I feel like mindset is super important in these types of industry, because I always am thinking with my foot out of the door. I feel like that prevents me from fully delve into the possibility of like, what if this could work out. But again, anyone listening, you have to do things with risk and things like that. You gotta feel what's your comfort zone. But I think especially if you're young and you're able-bodied and you live in a developed country, you're able to take those risks a little bit more. If you mess up these next 10 years of your life, you'll still be fine. That's what like my older friends their advice, they tell me. They're like, oh yeah, if you mess up your credit, if you mess up everything, you can recoup it back again in the next 10 years. And so I'm trying to have that mindset so that way I'm not as scared, so that way I have more of a chance of achieving my goal, because I'm always scared of something not working out, so I never put my full into it. And so that thing never works out because I'm always thinking about the next plan as soon as that thing doesn't take off. But the thing about creative careers is like, it's like right before you're about to like on your lowest point, it's like there's this book I read called The Dip. You're gonna be in your lowest valley, and right after you pass that valley, that's when you're smooth sailing. But if you're not if you're not able to survive those low times, you'll never get to those good times. And me having a quitter mentality, I would quit so many different things. I would never see them out until they were successful, because I was always going to the next thing, because I couldn't take L's. I'm like, that's not for me, I can't afford it. But I had to change that mindset and realize that I live in a developed country, because even though I was born in Haiti, so I'm like, I can't lose as an immigrant. I can't go back to being homeless. I can't go back to that lifestyle. I get so scared that I forget that I live in America. I'm not in Haiti, where I couldn't be able to take those risks. I don't know if you experienced similar things growing up as an immigrant, being scared of like the board underneath you just being pulled.
Well, I don't know, like, because as a kid, like, I lived in a really rundown apartment. Cockroaches. There's cockroaches and there was mice, and
oh man, I know
like,
that feeling.
As a kid, I was so like, ignorance is bliss. Like, I was just so ignorant of like the state of our living that it was just kind of normal for me. But now as an adult, like, I realize how much like sacrifices my parents had to go through in order to even just afford that like small apartment. And I guess I would say like, no, I didn't really have fear of like everything being taken away, because I was just so ignorant of the way things work and how the world worked and how money worked and all of that,
Oh, are you the first child?
No, I'm the youngest child.
Oh, you have the youngest. Oh, okay, I see. It's like, okay, that's nice. Oh no, I'm not. an immigrant, how the that fear when you're the oldest child, I feel like the stereotypically
Yeah,
speaking,
it's
you're kind of
definitely
forced to grow up because then they're always
Yeah.
talking about money to you. I always felt that burden ever since I became a teenager, that I have to take care of my family, I have to take care of my of them, and I have to take care of myself. I but no, it's interesting to hear that immigrant perspective, because that's stereotypically speaking. Doesn't mean that the youngest child doesn't face any type of hardships, but it's really nice to hear the origins of your mindset, because I'm like, I wish I was brave, but I'm always scared of losing things. But you gotta.
It is honestly insane how like our ways of thinking and our mindset is so like opposite in so many ways. Like, you're very organized, I'm very chaotic in my planning. I don't plan, and I have this like I will make things work type. And you said you kind of like really think things over and you evaluate, and I just don't.
I can't take
Yeah, like
they're so expensive.
it's crazy how differently we think. Like let's say you order something from Amazon and it's broken, but it's fixable. Do you return it or do you fix it?
Oh, I return it. I don't take L's. But I don't think that's a good example. I think because you know, with the sticker business, I spent around the same amount to start my own sticker business 6 months ago. I didn't even start off the shop, but I was so scared.
Oh,
I was having
you know
so
what?
many issues. I returned most of the things. I only
I have
kept
a
some
great
of the
example.
things, and I didn't fully go through it. I didn't fully commit.
so
I didn't
you
make
said
it
you have a
work.
silhouette, right?
Yeah, I have a silhouette.
You
It
have a
didn't work.
silhouette
I just gave
portrait.
up on it. I got myself a Cricut.
I ran into so many problems with the portrait, but I made it work, and I have like such a convoluted and complicated way of making it work too that I can't explain it to someone.
You forced
But
it
I've
to
made
work.
it
I
work.
like
Yeah.
that. And I didn't realize I was such a quit. I thought I didn't realize that about myself until much late, like recently. And I feel like that's why I'm not getting the wins I would like to. Especially with my art, I'm always so scared. I only want to take risks when things are perfect, but that's not how you win. The greater the risk, the greater the reward. And the more you fall, the more you come back up. That's how you learn. That's how you learn how to walk. Imagine if you were a baby and you just stopped after you busted on the floor the first time. You would never learn how to walk. So I'm trying to change my mindset to be a little more adventurous like you, because I see that now your art is your full time. Now that's what we talk about in her version of this video a bit more, and how you make more you make the most of your money from just telling your own original stuff. Even though I am a full-time artist, I mostly still do a lot the stuff I want to make. Well, actually, you guys need to watch her version of the video for that. We go
But
more
I
to
will
the
say-
business aspect.
It is still really good to be calculated. Like, I wish I was more calculated, because my sister makes fun of me for it, because sometimes or when I first started the sticker business, I would just like shop on Amazon for like any supply that I could find. I'm like, ooh, I want to try this glass seed bag. Ooh, I want to try this.
You just
sticker
try
paper.
them out. I can't.
And
For me,
I just impulsively buy them. I have like
really, oh
probably
man.
like 2,000 sticker paper, and
You
I
try
haven't
them
even
out
touched some of
yourselves?
them.
No, I look up
Yeah.
things on Reddit. If it's not vetted by a Reddit artist, somebody on Discord, I am not investing my time
Yeah,
and
but
energy into it.
That's why I spent $2,000 on starting the business, even though I could have gotten by with just spending $1,000. It's because I just kept seeing stuff I wanted to try, and I impulsively try it, and I don't even buy like the 10-page packs. I literally just buy the 100-page packs.
For my research, I learned that stickers weren't profitable, so I returned and
I
sold
didn't
most of
even
the
do
sticker
research.
stuff to get sublimation, which is to make merch. I'm like, I gotta make merch. I gotta make t-shirts.
You did research?
I gotta be successful. I can't take no else. I guess that's just different immigrant perspectives because I know you mostly come from a East Asian immigrant household.
Yeah.
And I mostly come from a Caribbean immigrant household, and like even though sometimes I think the cultures are very similar in terms of their strictness from parents, and they're very focused on school and having a job. It's really interesting to hear of experience, especially now we both do art. One last final question, because I don't want this video to be super long. How does your parents feel about you doing art as a career, or do they know that you do art full time? Do they?
So my parents, they're not actually the like typical strict Asian parents. They obviously wanted me to get good grades, but I guess I never really ran into the problem of like failing a class, and so I never really worried them in that regard. But this one time I did get like a B, and I didn't get in trouble for it. And my parents are the type of parents just want me to get by. And as long as I can get by, they don't really care what I'm doing. I mean, they have told me preferably, like very typical Asian parents, we want you to go into the medical field because it pays good. But they also know that I don't like the medical field, and they weren't going to force me to go into it. And my parents were, they believed in my skill as an artist, because my dad's really creative. He's also an artist, and I get my creative side from him. But they were more so worried that like it wouldn't work out because being an artist, there's a lot of stigma around it, like starving artists or whatever. Especially back then. I mean, now it's getting kind of better with the transparency lately on social media, but they were just worried that like an art degree wasn't going to go anywhere, and that like commission money was eventually gonna run out, and that I wouldn't have something to fall back on. And they're just really happy that it actually really is like working out. Like my parents, when my YouTube went off, they started watching my videos, and my mom had embarrassingly told me that my dad like blast my videos on the TV once I moved out.
That's
I'm like, no, why would you do that? I'm just like, don't. Like, I don't want them watching my videos, but they're pretty supportive. They're just happy that I can provide for myself. I mean, if it was not the case, they would be very worried for me, and they would probably be telling me to do other things, very discouraging me about art, because they're like, that's not working out, go do something else. Luckily it is working out.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's so awesome. I'm glad they're a little bit more flexible. I would say that my parents were a bit more flexible in that term sense too. But even then, I still felt like I had to prove myself. So that's why I went more into marketing. I like once I learned graphic design in high school, I jumped into that. I was like, you know what? That's a way for me to kind of convince them more. Because even though like they're open-minded about it, they were still trying to push like medical school, coding, lawyer down your throat. It was kind of discouraging. And the most people.
Do you think that it is also partly because you are the oldest child?
I think because I'm the oldest child, but my family are not like together. My other siblings are like half siblings. I think it comes from a sense of obligation and duty. Since I was born in Haiti and I came here, I see the poverty there. My mom passed away because we couldn't afford like better medical care when she was in Haiti. So ever since like she passed away when I was 16, my mind was like, I don't want that to happen to anybody else in my family. We lost custody of my little sister in the DR because of that, because after I came here, my mom moved to the Dominican Republic for better opportunities. She was telling me to learn Spanish, she was telling me to everything like she learned in DR, she was trying to teach me. And then she got sick and the healthcare over there wasn't good. So I felt the pressure to be successful so I could bring all my family over here, especially like my grandparents, to be able to take care of them. Because my grandparents were like the last remaining part of my that's a little bit more personal, but I guess I have to finish it to explain my point. But I just felt like a sense of duty to take care of them, and I saw the art as a gamble way for me to success because of social media. I see other people use it to transform their lives and uproot their family.
Yeah.
So I would, even with my grandparents, I kept showing them my YouTube channel, and even they're still not, super into it. So I went more towards the marketing. I'm like, well, you know what? Even if this doesn't work out, I could do the same thing for another company, and once my channel started to take off recently, I started to show my videos to more of my other family members, but there's still like that language barrier, so they wanted me to make my videos in French, at least because Creole is still a small language, so it wouldn't be as widespread. So they kept telling me, oh, translate. When you translate, they're like they had that same energy where they're blasting my videos all over.
Do you think that the hesitation to be like for them to kind of encourage you into it more, like you mentioned with your grandparents, comes from or stems from like them not entirely understanding it? Like, do they understand it? Like, do they get internet culture and YouTube culture and how that works? My parents do. Like, my dad watches YouTube all the time. He doesn't understand it on the same level as us, definitely, because he's like a boomer. But like, he still knows like how it could grab you, like as a viewer. And so like, does your family know that? Like that basically
I think on a very superficial level they do, to the point
the
where
extent of your success.
I think to a very superficial level, like they do, but I think my grandparents are a little bit more understanding. They know that it's fickle. They know like 1 month you can be like good, but then it could be bad. Because the great thing about my grandparents is that my uncle actually brings them, got them their papers here. It's just my other family members I'm trying to upkeep. But even then, I'm still worried about my one person is not enough to take care of my grandparents. So yes, they're a bit more understanding, but I don't know how much of that is because they like my enthusiasm, because I'm always talking about my YouTube channel. I even made a whole page of it in my high school yearbook, because I was yearbook president. Yeah, because even though I was super passionate about it, so I feel like I've convinced them, but even then they still super wary. But part of me is more I don't know how to answer that question the best, but yeah, I still felt like I had to prove it to them. It wasn't much anything on them. I felt like I have to prove to them, oh yeah, it's gonna work out. I even went through the whole process of just doing my stuff business wise, so they're not as scared, because when they heard my numbers initially and how the income can fluctuate month to month, they were so worried about how I could survive off of that. So I was telling them, no, I'm a business, I'm registered, I'm doing this, but getting the whole that didn't make it easier. It's still like more work now. I gotta pay the government more money. I gotta collect sales tax. I gotta file that each quarter. So it's a challenge. I don't know how to best answer that question, but I think it's not them pushing me as much. It's more me wanting to provide. But they still push the medical thing on me, because my uncle was a doctor in but yeah, it's not a black and white thing.
I mean, I guess what they do is for the best reason, with the best intention.
So yeah, but it's interesting because normally I hear like the East from at least from what I watch on social media, Asian parents are usually much stricter. They don't let you do anything.
Yeah, I got lucky with mine.
That's good. My dad, because I mostly grew up here with my dad. My dad was mostly busy trying to keep us afloat. That he didn't really care what I was doing. So I was just trying to brag to make sure I'm not wasting time. Like, I felt so bad. I asked him when I was younger in middle school. I asked him for $50 to invest into making like little clay charms to sell at school, and that flopped because they kept breaking. They didn't come out the best quality and nobody wanted to buy them. And so ever since then I felt like I had to prove that, oh yeah, this won't flop like that one, because especially as an adult it's a bigger risk per se, trying to do art and taking care of yourself. But if people would want to learn more from that, since this video is getting a little bit long, I'm gonna put a link to your version of the video where we go more into career stuff, because that affects being able to afford to go to school and all of that. And we had some more amazing conversations and about her version of the art trade, because this is an art trade by any chance. And sorry to cut you off, Lauren, any last final words?
No, I just gotta say that I really enjoyed doing this and talking to you.
The pleasure is all mine as well, and I hope you guys enjoy this. And there's timestamps all over. Sorry this is so long, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.